Alright, Dracotail Dragonmaid games. This is game one. We are up against Kashtira's Stun, and we're going second. Let's get started. So I wanted to show this one first just because it shows off the cool Femena quick fuse here on the opponent's turn thing. They go for D-Fissure. We really can't beat D-Fissure, so we have to just fire off Femena to summon Star Source Dragon to pop it immediately. But, you know, being able to do that saves us from probably just a lost game on the spot. They have a Fenrir on board going into our turn, but we already have a 2500, so we can just go straight to battle and walk over the Fenrir, which is pretty funny, before we ever start doing anything. So that's kind of them defanged. Unfortunately, their last card is Super Poly. They Super Poly away our board, but we don't have any light or dark dragons on the field, so the Chaos Star Source can't actually pop anything, and we still have a good amount of gas left to go. So they're just going to give up at some point here because they realize that we still have like a crazy end board going into what they're going to have one card. So, you know, just wanted to show off the neat Star Source Dragon pop D-Fissure win a game that we otherwise would have lost thing. Cool, cool. Game 2, this is kind of a weird one. We are going second up against Drytron, but they have no engine in their opening hand, so they just pass straight to us with a bunch of hand traps. They Fuelos, we called by, they Fuelos again, so one sticks. We normal summon Chamber, hoping to get something done, but they imperm the Chamber, which means we can't do any of the Dragonmaid lines or anything. Thankfully, we have a Ketu to fetch a Femena, and we're just going to pass here, knowing that we have Droll and Lock, and then we have a quick fuse into an Omni Negate on their turn, and hopefully that's good enough. We didn't actually know that they were playing Drytron at that point, but, you know, hopefully 2 disruptions is good enough. They do actually open gas, but they pass back to us, and we still have our Omni. They go to Imperm, hoping we don't have follow-up, but we had plenty of gas this game, unlike them, so we managed to kind of do everything just because they blew their load on turn 2, our turn 1, and then didn't really draw anything. That's a weakness of Drytron, is it's not the best one-card combo deck, so opening no engine doesn't do them any favors. So we end up taking the win. Don't play to the opponent's outs. Cool, cool. Game 3, we're up against Blue Eyes going second, and we have 2 pieces of interaction, so we gotta make them count. Because they have Maiden of White as an opener to grab True Light to set Wishes, which is about as bad as it gets for us. They grab a couple of cards, ditch a Fuelos, that's not very useful going first, now is it? They normal summon Sage, grab another Maiden, so that's follow-up, and then they go into their Link one, which is exactly what I wanted to save the Imperm for. The Link one puts in so much work in this deck, especially since they searched another level 1 tuner. We knew they had that, so we kind of need to keep them off the field spell. If they had it in hand, they had it in hand, but they didn't this time. So we Bishul the Maiden because they're going to still be able to make a Synchro. Because we Bishul the Maiden, they can't. They make a Tyrant, and then unfortunately for them, they blow up our Bishul, which sends their Tyrant to grave. Goes to our turn, and we can start doing Dragontail stuff. We didn't open any of the Dragonmaid stuff this game, but Dracotail is still pretty good, especially because this is looking like it's going to turn into a grind game. They did set a Majesty, which is currently not live, and while I would love to pop the Majesty, I missed the trigger on Grammel here, and so I just like messed up and right-clicked when I didn't need to. And so they're going to have Majesty live. We don't know what else they have in hand. It ends up being a Kaiba Man. They're playing the 3 Blue Eyes variant. We go to bounce the Blue Eyes. They pop Arthalion, which doesn't do a whole lot, thankfully. They hit the surrender button, go into Typhon, bounce and swing, and pass back to us, and that's pretty much all she wrote at that point. Typhon's such a funny card because it reads crazy, but it's always just the surrender button. So, funny, we blow up their Typhon. They now have access to a Fuelos that was just sitting in their hand clogging it up, but we're going to be able to do 2200 pretty easily. So, nice, clean game. I played a lot of this deck over this week, so you get 5 games for this one. This one's going to be our penultimate, and we are up against a deck that I just thought was pretty neat. So I'm calling it Normal Slop. It is like a box of friends normal deck that performed a lot better than that sounds like it should, so I wanted to show it off here. This is also just a good hand of ours, so it's not like we just get stomped or stomp them. This ends up being a pretty good game with a good opening hand, so I thought that was pretty cool. So Flawless Perfection is a problem, and it's going to be a problem the whole game. I should have popped it earlier, but I wasn't sure what they were trying to do. It draws 2 cards every turn for them, basically. I have to negate Xenometeorus. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing at that point. They summon a bunch of normals. Millennium Shield's actually doing its job and holding down the fort. We've bounced the Flawless Perfection so they don't get the draw 2 this turn, but they're doing stuff. We have to pass back to them because we can't kill them on that turn thanks to the Millennium Shield. They Dark Ruler us, which means we're pretty much defenseless at this point. But our board is just so big. They do have Jet Dragon, but we don't let it bounce anything because we have the Horn as our only disruption. They go for Typhon, they bounce our Omni Negate. Unfortunately for them, while they grind pretty good, and they've been grinding really hard thanks to this Flawless Perfection, we grind just as hard. So we managed to pop some stuff, and now that we know about the Millennium Shield, we can easily get over it. It's just it popping out of box of friends in the middle of battle is a jump scare, and then we just didn't have something over 3,000 to get over it. Not gonna run into that issue this time because we can go into show at 3,500 and we can pop the Flawless Perfection finally and get in for lethal this turn. But yeah, very interesting deck. Like, you always have to respect Jet Dragon. Flawless Perfection looks funny, but it puts in a lot more work than you might think. Just a neat deck, I thought. Like, it actually ended up being a pretty good game against whatever the hell this is. And then lastly for Game 5, we've got to give you one up against Meta now, don't we? This one is up against Yummy, and they are going first. I lost a lot of rock, paper, scissors this week, but thankfully we are playing a bunch of Board Breakers main deck, so it's fine. We can make it work. Unfortunately, all we have is Imperm, and Imperm is kind of trash against Yummy. It's a weird situation where you don't want to be playing hand traps right now because Canine exists, but Imperm is bad against Yummy because anything that targets is bad against Yummy. So you have to kind of pick your poison there. Just play towards whichever one you have a worse matchup into. The Imperm on the Marcher was basically our only shot, but that still didn't stop them from ending on everything they want. Thankfully, Super Poly is really good against them. So we get Mudragon, they still have 1 Omni Negate, they stop our Parlor. Unfortunately, their set card was called by to hit the Parlor, so we couldn't bring it back off of Hospitality. So now we are in the grind game, and in the grind game, they can do some stuff, but we can do a lot more, especially because the last card in our hand was Rahu, and we ripped Famane off the top, which is just full combo. Rahu with any monster in hand is full combo, so we can just go crazy and hopefully win this turn. They know that, they see the writing on the walls, they scoop them up, but it was, you know, Board Breakers are good. Board Breakers are very good against Yummy, hand traps are not. Hand traps are kind of bad right now, and Imperm is included in that. It's better than most of them, but still not great. Cool? Cool.